Got all the seeds laid out for this year. You can probably tell that we're not exactly brand specific. I think there's certain ones that are good from certain places. Some don't matter as much. You know, people might say these are these guys here, these marigolds, maybe the cheapo kind, but marigolds are a pretty tough little plant. They seem to come in pretty good, but you got everything from a bunch of different kinds of hot peppers, jalapenos, pumpkins, cucumbers, tomatoes of several different kinds and varieties. Got some lettuce over here and some lavender. It's not all stuff that's exactly stuff you would eat necessarily, right? But things that will go in the garden. Some snow on the mountains, some more tomatoes back here. We'll put in some cherries this year and some brandy wines. Got a ton of different aromas. I believe this is lettuce. And some more jalapenos. We'll do some hot ones. We'll do some Anaheims. I have some ghost pepper in here as well. So anyway, put in some ornamental corn. We're going to also use that as a kind of a shade hedge for certain areas and kind of place it around the farm where I want just a little bit of shade. Anyway, as you can see, it's a pretty big variety of crops that we're going to have, and this really isn't it. This is actually a big bag of clover made by Johnny's. This is fantastic white clover, great nitrogen booster, and I'd try to put that in our living pathways. All right, we're back the next day here, and I did forget to do one thing, and was to label my trays with the Walla Walla onions that we got in. No big news to report, but thought we'd pick up there, and we'll use that paper towel method I was talking about, and show you how that's done real quick. Not much to that, but yeah, make sure you're always like labeling all of your trays as you go. You may think, well, I can remember which one's which, and then you won't. So especially if you're doing varieties of peppers or varieties of tomatoes, you want to keep those separate because some may be indeterminate tomatoes. Some of them may be determinate, right? More of a bush. Anyway, we'll get to that really quick. All right, so we'll just get I got some of these neat little plant markers over here. They came with, I believe, one of my garden beds that I bought. But yeah, they're nice and big, easy to read. So we'll just put on here. Wow, that's quite the Sharpie color. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but it's kind of, I don't know. Magenta? Anyway, we'll be able to keep these all labeled so that we'll know what we're dealing with later. Next step is, for the paper towel trick, not a whole lot to it really. Lay out your paper towel. And you're just going to want to get it damp eventually here, but in this case, some hatch pepper seeds. Kept for a while now. I think they should be really good to germinate. We'll see how we do. Reality is they're not all going to germinate, right? So if you put a few extras in, so usually what I do is I just kind of sprinkle them around inside the paper towel. In the middle one, using like 3 little separate paper towels, right? I'll a couple of these off this tape. Alright. So if I get that many hash chilies, I'll be pretty happy. So we'll see. It's probably going to be a low germination. We'll see though, it's hard to say. Next up is just put some water in here. Distilled water works really well. Purified water with RO also works just fine. You know, the God's honest truth, if you don't really have if you're on well water, you're not getting a whole lot of extra contaminants usually out of your water system that you might get in a larger city. Can't say enough about these either. This isn't for an ad or anything, but these solo sprayers, if you guys ever want to sponsor us, I'll tell you what, I love your products. Never clogs. Of course, I just use it for water too, so, but it's a nice sprayer. So then you're going to just fold these over. All right, and you're just going to make a little pouch. Fold it in thirds. Okay, and give it one more little spray. Doesn't need to be damp, soaking wet, right? But you want it to be nice and wet. Then you're going to do, use your Sharpie again and label this. So this time we'll put Hatch on the baggie, so you can remember which one, since I will be doing about 8 or 9 varieties of peppers this year. Put this in here. And what you want these to be in a fairly warm spot, right? So once again, the beauty of having an indoor plant room or a good greenhouse is just, it's immeasurable in terms of getting early starts on your market garden. All right, so now you got it like this, and you got them in here, and then what you want to do is you want to just put them in a nice dark spot, and then give it a couple of days, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like when they're sprouting. But that's how you do the paper towel germination. All right, so I just unwrapped some jalapenos, and they're the Parks Whopper jalapenos from Park Seed. And this is what I mean by a little sprout. So this is why you do this. You get a little taproot sprout coming off the seeds, and then they're much more likely to germinate successfully because they already pretty much have, right? So we'll get these put into some soil, catch up soon, and show you what's going on in another week or so when we see some green coming up. All right, so I've dropped these jalapenos in here, these soil blocks. So just give you a quick little shot on how this is, right? Just get them in there and just put a little bit of soil and sprinkle those around. You don't have to bury them super deep, right? These will eventually get transplanted into probably a 2-inch pot, right? So at this point, you're just trying to get the seeds covered. All right. And then we're going to spray those down. We'll water those in a little bit, right? And you just want to kind of double check. Make sure you get them all covered fairly well. Looks like we did all right there. Oh, by the way, I staked all of our bamboos, doing really well. I got one little plant there that's struggling a little bit, but should be able to get these outside this year and start creating some shade and some pretty bamboo stands. Grew these from seed and have been overwintering them all winter. I guess that's what overwinter means. Okay, so today we've got all these in. Several different kinds of tomatoes, peppers, mostly today. We go across here. Pretty good day. 720 plants put in today. All right, and here's what it looks like 4 days later. All those tomatoes, peppers. Pretty decent germination rate. I see a couple of blocks that don't have any. I'll be patient. Sometimes you get these little guys, they'll actually make it. These guys here are a little slower. And I'm just watering these with a sprayer attachment that's connected to my garden sink. This little sprayer is actually really good. They're not overly expensive. You can get these things at just about anywhere. But a nice mist on these seedlings is a nice easy way to keep them low stress but nice and watered. About every other day you'll want to give them a nice misting. Don't overwater them, it's just not necessary. But just don't let them dry out. That's probably really the biggest key. Using the sprayer on a hose attached to the sink is also a big time saver. I can pretty much water the whole room in about 10 minutes.